All right, let's talk about the rule book for mutual funds. Now, I know what you're thinking. Regulations sound kind of boring, right? But stick with me, because this is the hidden framework, the very foundation that's designed to protect every single rupee you invest. Let's get into it. I mean, it's a question we should all be asking ourselves. When you put your hard-earned savings into a fund, who's actually making sure the game isn't rigged? Well, the good news is you're not on your own. There's a whole system in place designed to be your watchdog. So why do we even need all these rules? Well, because without them, the financial market can get a little bit wild. We're talking about unchecked speculation or insiders using information that you don't have access to, leaving regular investors like us completely in the dust. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a football match. You've got to have a referee on the field, right? Someone to enforce the rules, call out fouls, and just make sure both teams have a fair shot at winning. In the world of investing, that referee is the market regulator. And here in India, the head referee for the entire securities market, and that includes every single mutual fund, is the Securities and Exchange Board of India. You'll almost always just hear it called SEBI. And if you go and look at SEBI's official mission statement, you see something really important right up front. The very first thing it mentions is its duty to protect the interests of investors. That means their number one job is looking out for you. So you can really boil that big mission down to three main jobs. First, and most importantly, protect investors. Second, regulate the market to keep everything fair and transparent. And third, help the market develop and grow, but in a way that's healthy and sustainable for everybody involved. Okay, so that's the big picture. But how does SEBI actually do this specifically for mutual funds? Well, they've created a dedicated rulebook, and the regulations inside have a direct, real-world impact on how your money is managed and kept safe. You've probably heard that old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's one of the golden rules of investing. Well, SEBI basically takes that saying and turns it into a hard and fast rule. They force funds to diversify so fund manager can't risk your money by betting everything on just one or two companies. So let's look at a really clear example of this. For most types of funds, a single scheme is not allowed to invest more than 10% of its total assets into the bonds or debt of any single company. It's a simple, powerful rule that forces diversification and lowers your risk if one of those companies happens to get into trouble. And there's another really crucial 10% rule. A mutual fund house, across all of its different schemes combined, generally can't own more than 10% of any one company's voting shares. This is super important because it stops the fund from getting too much control over a company's decisions. Its job is to be an investor, not the boss. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. This rulebook isn't just a list of things fund managers can't do, it's also a list of things you can do. It actually gives you specific, legally backed rights as an investor. For example, let's say a fund you invested in for its conservative strategy suddenly decides to become a high-risk, high-reward fund. You have the right to get your money out, and you can do it without paying a penalty, which is often called an exit load. And maybe the most important right of all, you have the right to a formal grievance process if you feel something has gone wrong. And that last right is so key. You're not just left to fend for yourself if you have a complaint. The regulations lay out a very clear step-by-step path you can follow to get your issues heard and addressed. And here is that exact path. Your first stop is always the mutual fund company itself, the asset management company, or AMC. They have to have people dedicated to handling this. But if you don't get an answer you're happy with, you can take your complaint straight to the referee, SEBI, through their online platform called Scores. So, when you put all these different pieces together, the rules for funds, the rights for investors, they do something much bigger than just manage risk. They build the single most important thing in the entire financial world: trust. At the end of the day, this is about way more than just numbers and legal documents. The real goal of this whole framework is to build a culture of accountability, a system where everyone involved is expected to act ethically. Just look at this quote. It's from the Code of Conduct from mutual fund distributors. These are the folks who advise you and sell you the funds. It says they must consider investors' interest as paramount. Paramount. That's the ethical core of this entire system. It means your interests have to come first. Period. So the next time you hear someone talking about financial regulations, try not to think of them as just bureaucratic red tape. They are the bedrock. They're the reason that millions of people feel confident enough to invest their savings in mutual funds, and that in turn helps fuel the growth of the whole economy. So, understanding this rulebook does more than just protect you, it actually empowers you. It means you're not just a passive passenger anymore. You're an informed player in the game, and that changes everything. So, the real question isn't just, are you ready to invest? It's how much more confidence will you have now that you know who's watching your back?